the Coach of the Year award.
Mhm.
Now, Ime Udoka hasn't coached a game yet, so no one really knows how he's going to fare. He's kind of somewhere in the middle of the pack. Has him, I think, having like the 12th best odds of being named Coach of the Year,
Mhm.
which feels pretty accurate
It's not
about
bad.
where he should be in the pecking order.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what do you think his chances are, and specifically, what do you think has to happen for him to kind of leapfrog those other 11 folks and get it?
Hmm. Well, he definitely has to wrangle up this team in a way where, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, every year we talk about how this team has potential, whether that be the Kyrie and Gordon team or the teams afterwards, where every time there's a piece that's brought in, you're like, oh, that makes sense. It's going to work. And then everyone that's a part of Celtics Nation ends up getting disappointed. So I think for Ime Udoka, he just needs to. I know at one point I mentioned that he should get them to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I really do think
Damn!
I'm pretty sure I said that, or maybe I'm just making that up now. But either way, I do think that would be a standard that's set for a team like this. Or obviously, like the playoffs don't even seem like enough anymore. And I think, unfortunately, that's because of Brad Stevens' record as a coach. And every season, that team was expected to get better and better. And it got to a point where it plateaued. So as of now, I guess playoffs will give him that. But overall, they need to make it pretty far off in the East, but also in a way where even if they don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, you look at this roster, they get a good amount of wins. They look really in sync, and clearly the team has the respect for him and is listening to the things that he says. That shows on the floor that this team is together. And that's something I don't think we've seen. And again, nothing against Coach Stevens, the former Coach Stevens, but it did seem at one point towards the end of last season that the players were checked out. Everyone was over it. No one really seemed motivated. But hearing the talk of surrounding Ime Udoka and his culture and the way that players have perceived him, the fact that Brad Stevens even consulted Jason and Jalen when making that hire shows that already they do respect him. But now we need to see how that respect translates on the floor and whether or not they're willing to listen to whatever he says, trust his experience, and really let him run this team in a way that they can be a successful franchise. Not obviously not only for this season, but for seasons to come.
Well, I
A
can
lot
tell
to
you
put
right
on him.
I can tell you right now, they will not listen to everything he says. And that's no
I
shade
understand that.
at Ime. That's
Yeah.
just how players are with all
Which I'm
coaches.
sure he knows that after
Right.
working in
To
Brooklyn.
me, the key isn't so much are they listening to him, are they going to execute well enough to where that doesn't become an issue. Like
Yeah.
if we're having, like for example, if we're having, and I mean, a player and a coach are
Yeah.
having a disagreement on the sideline, and
Mm-hmm.
the coach is telling him, "I need you to do this," and they're like, "But I don't think that's going to work. I want to do that."
Yep.
If they go out there and figure out whichever lane they want to drive down and do that, and it works, all's good.
Yeah.
If they decide to do the opposite of
Kyrie
what
in
the coach tells
Orlando.
them to do, and it doesn't work, and it
Hmm.
doesn't work bad, and it doesn't work bad in a very critical moment of the game,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a conversation in the locker room if it
Hmm.
becomes something more than just a kind of one offer. But for Ime, I think for him to be a serious, legitimate Coach of the Year candidate, the Celtics are going to have to finish in the top three in the East. Because to me, anything below that is not all that surprising. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see things working out where they could finish fourth, which to me, I would say that is their ceiling. I can't see them
Okay.
finishing any better than fourth. But if they could somehow wind up third and find themselves in the conversation with Brooklyn and Milwaukee most
Hmm.
of the season, that changes things dramatically because then all of a sudden you have a coach who's come in there and has clearly impacted winning in a positive way that his predecessor
Hmm.
didn't. When I was in Detroit, Rick Carlisle, his first year, his team was one of the crappiest teams on paper in the
Yeah.
league that year. And all he did was go out there and win 50 games. And
Hmm.
he was easily coach of the year because he won a freaking division with a team that wasn't even supposed to make the
Yeah.
playoffs. So Ime is going to need, I think, that type of season. And I think this team has that type of potential. But the one thing that people have to always keep in mind when you talk about accolades and awards and things like that is somewhere along the line, some things have to break your way that you have no control over.
That's true.
Whether it's injuries,
That's true.
whether it's guys missing games for illnesses, whether
Hmm.
it's a guy that you had on your
COVID now.
right, a guy on your roster that you didn't think would play that much, all of a sudden develops into a borderline all-star, a la Isaiah Thomas, who
Yeah.
was who was brought in to be a spark off the bench, who went on to become a two-time All-Star. You're going to need some things that you have no plans on working out for you to work out for you. And I think there is that potential, but again, there's that P word again. We're always talking about with these damn Celtics potential. We need some proven work. We need some progress. We need to see some playoff push beyond just the first or second round, because those awards they come out before the playoffs officially get a kick in the gear. So he's going to need to have significant regular season success to have a shot, and I think he has a shot. I think it's a slim shot, but again, the culture that he's coming from, the type of talent that he's inheriting, the type of players that Brad Stevens has kind of assembled him with, you feel as though that this team isn't quite where you want them to be to win a championship, but by no means are you're not at scorched earth, ground zero with this team. This isn't Cleveland. This isn't Houston. One of the two, great city. But your team is definitely better than that. But you're not a Brooklyn. You're not a Milwaukee. You're not Phoenix. Some of the elite teams either.